stuff. Today's project was this bank for my grandsons. Just kind of nippy. You put the coin in here, and there it goes. It should even accept gold dollars. Let's see how I built it.
I started out with a basic drawing I made on MS Paint. Then I broke it down into 3 pieces. Subassembly A is where the coin goes in. Subassembly B is where the coin makes its way through the bank to all the little downward ramps. And then subassembly C, where all the coins collect. I'm going to start at the bottom with subassembly C. It's made up of 6 parts. Parts C1 through C6. I'll start by cutting C1 and C2 to length, about 8 inches, followed by parts C3 and C4 at 3 inches. Next I'll cut them to their height, 4 inches. I can do a little sanding, then set them aside. Now I'll start on part C5. It is 3 by 7 and has a slot in it. First I cut it to length, then to height. The slot is for the coin to pass through. I want it to have plenty of clearance, so I will make it a little larger than necessary. I can lay out a line about 1 1/4 inches long, then move over to my drill press and drill a series of holes along that line. Then I can use 1/2 inch chisel to clean up the slot. Some sanding and I can begin assembly. I laid out all the parts so I know exactly how I want it to go together. I apply glue on the 2 end pieces, C3 and C4, then apply glue to the top piece, C5. Now I can line up C1, 2, 3, and 4 with part 5 and apply several clamps. I'll set this aside and start on the base. The final part of subassembly C is the base. It is about 9 inches long and 5 inches wide. I will cut it to length, then to width. The next step is to give it several passes through my planer. I don't want it to look like a big block of wood, so I will use the router table to round over the top edge with a slight countersink. Then over the sanding table to sand off the router marks, and it's time for assembly. Now that C1 through 5 are dry, I can center it on part C6. Next I apply glue to the upper section, then center it using the lines I made earlier, and hold it in place until I can get all the clamps securely in place and set it aside to dry. And now I can move on to subassembly A. It's pretty simple, just 2 pieces cut 2 by 2. On one piece will find the center so I can drill a 1 1/4 inch hole through it. Next I will lay out a few guidelines so that I can use my router table to make a shallow dado. I only have a 1/4 inch straight cutting router bit, so I will need to make several passes to remove all the stock from the dado. Now it's just a matter of gluing pieces A1 and A2 together and clamping them up to dry. Now I can use my belt sander in its holder to sand subassembly A, to clean up the faces and do a little decorative round over on the edges. Subassembly B is probably the most complicated part of this project. A lot of it will be engineered on the fly, so I only made a basic drawing of it. Basically, it's just a fancy way to get the coins from subassembly A down into subassembly C. I need 2 sides with slots in them and can make those on the table saw. The top piece will also get the same type of slot. I've never been good at miters, so I will simply cut a rabbet on the ends of the top pieces to sit on the 2 side pieces. That will hide the slot I cut in the top piece. This top piece will also get a slot drilled through it for the coin to pass through from subassembly A. I'll use glue to attach subassembly A to the top part of subassembly B, making sure to line up the slots in both pieces. Then I can clamp it and set it aside to dry. Next I'll glue the top piece of subassembly B to the 2 side pieces. I'll use clamps to hold together and set it aside to dry. I let this piece sit for about an hour and came back and removed all the clamps. With a little trial and error, I can lay out all the downward facing ramps on a piece of plywood, then install it in Assembly B. Now I can add the plexiglass front. I can add subassembly A and try a few coins to it to make sure it works. Now I can attach it to subassembly C. I need to make sure that the coin slots line up perfectly. Now I can add glue into this dado and add a recessed panel that will hide the rear of the assembly. Now it's time to remove all these clamps and move into the testing phase. We'll drop a couple pennies in here and watch the fun.